feel like your past disqualifies you? Well, if Jesus can change my life, he can and will change yours as well. 24 years ago, I was living on the streets. I was homeless. I was prostituting. I was a hopeless kind of dope fiend, and my children have been taken away from me. I did not wake up one day and say, hey, when I grow up, I want to be a prostitute, or I want to be a drug addict, or I want to be homeless. But at 5 years old, my innocence was taken from me. And so was my ability to say no and set healthy boundaries. It left this invisible scar on me that I couldn't see, but other predators could see. And from 9 to 11, it would happen over and over and over again to me. And that little girl took on guilt and shame that was not hers. And as I grew, that guilt and shame turned into anger, bitterness, resentment. And I, brick by brick by brick, I built this great big Jericho wall. And I thought it protected me, when in all truth, all it did was keep me in bondage and in a prison that I built around myself. You see, I had this great big hole in me. Never felt like I belonged. I always felt different. And I would put anything inside that hole to make me feel better. Drugs, alcohol, men, shopping, food, people pleasing, my phone, anything that would feel better for a moment, no matter what the consequences were. I kept living that way for a very long time until I hit a rock bottom that brought me to my knees. You see, my biggest motivation and the greatest gift God ever gave me was hitting rock bottom, the gift of desperation. And in that desperation, I simply cried out, God, if you're there, help me, because I can't do this on my own. And to be totally honest, I don't even know if he heard me. I didn't know for sure. But what I can tell you is my life started to change. Not right away, not everything all at once, but it was a process. And through that process, I've learned healing. I've learned forgiveness. Transformation doesn't just happen. It's not something that just because we get into recovery automatically happens. It's something that we have to choose, just like healing. We have to choose to heal. You see, I had to stop being a victim, and I had to get responsible for my recovery. Because I'm either working on a relapse or I'm working on recovery. I have no middle ground. I'm either walking closer to God or I'm moving further away from him. I have to be very careful of comfort zones, because another word for comfort is complacent. And another word for complacent is stagnant. And then yet another word for stagnant is lukewarm. And I don't want to be that. We know what the Bible says about that. I don't want to be spit out. So in order for my healing and my transformation, I had to take responsibility for it. I had to take responsibility for my healing. It wasn't up to anyone else. I had to make a choice to forgive. I had to make a choice to heal. And I had to make a choice to stop being a victim. And when I first heard that and I first realized it was really hard to hear, because don't you know, I'd had a lot happen to me. I'd been through a lot and I'd done a lot. I hung on to my pain like it was my life preserver, when in reality, it was really the weight that was just pulling me down and drowning me. And until I got to the point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, I had to decide to make a choice. You see, forgiveness isn't an emotion. It isn't a state of being. It's a choice. And I had to make a choice to learn to forgive and heal, or keep doing things the way I'd always done them and keep getting the same results. I didn't want to go back to being homeless. I didn't want to lose my children again. I didn't want to keep living in misery any longer. So I had to make a choice that it was time to heal. And that's not easy. I'm not saying that forgiveness is fair or easy. But what I can tell you is, by choosing not to forgive, what I was doing was I was taking all my anger, my bitterness, my resentment, and my shame, and I was packaging it up in a pretty little box with a pretty little bow, and I was handing it to my children, and I was saying, here, you deal with this, because I don't want to. And I didn't want to continue that. That had gone down for generations and generations. You see, my grandma got sober, but she didn't heal or forgive. So she handed down that same trauma and anger and resentment to my mother. And my mother, she got sober, but she also didn't choose to forgive or heal. So in turn, she handed it down to me. And I had to make a choice to say it stops here. That I'm willing to step outside my comfort zone. I'm willing to heal so that my children don't have to deal with the same thing. You see, 100 years from now, I want children I'm never going to meet, I'm never going to know. I want them to reap a harvest from the seeds that I sow today. And the only way that I can do that is by making the choice to heal. And that's what I did. And I can tell you it wasn't easy. It wasn't simple. And I'm still walking through it. I will be continuing to heal and continuing to forgive the day I go to heaven. But what I can tell you is that with Jesus, all things are possible. You see, I've done recovery all secular and with a higher power of my own understanding. And my understanding is only this big. I could not fathom how to forgive others, let alone myself, with that kind of understanding. And I've done it all religion, where the pastor and the people say, just come up and lay it all down, and instantly you'll be healed. And that's not to say that God can't, He can, but for me, it didn't happen that way. I would come up and I would lay it down, and 3 days later, I'd be at the bottom of a bottle or a bag, feeling like there must be something wrong with me. Maybe God didn't love me. It wasn't till I brought Jesus and recovery together and my whole life changed. And like I said, it didn't get better overnight. It's a continued process. But what I can tell you is that I have my children back in my life. I have beautiful grandchildren who have never and will never see me high or drunk. And they don't see me respond in anger or live a life filled with shame. I stopped parenting out of shame. I learned to ask for forgiveness. More importantly, I learned to receive it. I learned that unconditional love doesn't have measures. It doesn't have attachments. And that I can love someone from a distance. What does healing look like for me? What does freedom look like for me? It looks like generational healing. Being able to set healthy boundaries. See myself the way God sees me. Not as the world has seen me, not as the enemy tries to whisper, and more importantly, not as I've seen myself, but as God sees me. And when I can truly learn to forgive others and myself, I can truly understand the love of God. My husband and I, we decided to take this on the road. So we sold our house in California and we gave away everything we owned, and we travel full time in a fifth wheel with our 3 pit bulls. It's far from easy, but it's worth it. We go wherever God sends us to share that Jesus and recovery change everything, that you are not alone, that your struggle is real, but it's not permanent, and that we do recover, and that with God, all things are possible. We started this channel to invite others to come in, to build a community, to be able to encourage each other and lift each other up, so that the others out there that are still struggling with whatever kind of addiction they're going through can see that recovery is possible and that Jesus changes everything. We want to invite you to share your testimonies, your stories, your before and afters. This is a we program, and this channel is meant to create community where we can all come together in a safe place. So if any of this is something that you'd like to be a part of, please like, subscribe, and comment below. And there'll be a link below where you can share your before and after or your testimony so that we can post it and show others that our God is still in the business of creating miracles. It looks like you, and it looks like me. And if you're still struggling, and even if you don't know Jesus, you're welcome here. We want you to know that you are loved, you matter, and you belong here. Welcome to this journey with us. We'll be sharing more of our testimonies. We'll be sharing, getting them more in depth on what we do and why we start doing it. But more importantly, we want you guys to be a part of this. Remember, be the example, not the excuse. Love you guys.